evening. Good evening. Welcome to Build Your Best Life with Coach Deborah D. Smith. It is coffee chat time. Hey, girlfriend.
Hey girl, how are you today?
I'm doing great, doing great, doing great. We are here and
Yes.
we are ready for coffee chat.
Oh yeah, I got my coffee. You got yours?
Yes.
Got my coffee too. All right, we're ready to go.
All right. Well, over the past, I would say about 10 months,
Uh-huh.
Carol and I have gone through this book in detail, bringing out all the nuggets and providing tons and tons of information. So before we go any deeper down into Build Your Best Life and all the building materials that are required, we thought that we would do in a nutshell,
Mm-hmm.
just going back and putting together everything that we have covered thus far. Um, And I think that that would really benefit everybody. So that is what we're going to be doing today. And I really, really enjoy this book. And as you can see, it's well used. I keep going through it. So we are
Yeah,
going to enjoy going through it with you today.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, Deborah, like you said, it's been 10 months and we pretty much dissected, but it's always good to go back and reflect because, like you said, I know you advocate that we have to be continuous learners. And sometimes, just like in the Bible, right, we can go through and read a scripture and go back over it again and see, oh, I missed that, or that at that moment that wasn't something that I thought was everything in the Bible is relevant for us, but it just didn't stick with us at that time, or it was something that wherever I was that at that time, I didn't see that or something. And so it's always good to take some time and reflect over some things that we've already read or we think we already know, because I just believe, like you said, being a continuous learner puts us in a place to always be elevating and evolving to the next level. So I'm excited about what we're going to talk about tonight. So
Yes. So everybody, again, welcome. Please come in and like and share. And we are going to hit it. Well, first
yes.
and foremost, when I talk about building your best life, the niche I have is for young men, teenage, and young adult males, because, every young lady wants to have a nice, intelligent young man that knows how to take care of his family, his finances,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
knows how to be respectful, and all these things. And people used to teach that in the house. The neighbors would correct you if you were wrong. They taught it in school, and now they don't. So that's first and foremost. But the one thing, if you don't get anything else out of Build Your Best Life, is that you are numero uno. You're number one. You
Mm-hmm.
have to love yourself.
Got to. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of times, people go through a lot of different things. They have things in their lives where uh, people, I mean, it's just so many things, but I mean, they can be have an issue with their education. They can come from a single family home.
Mm-hmm.
They can have a father, but he's not in their lives. They can
Mm-hmm.
have a learning disability and no one catches that. So that person, because of that, they begin to have low self-esteem, to think, well, I'm not worth anything, whatever. And that's why our numbers as far as suicide
Mm-hmm.
and depression is up among our young people. So, parents, we've got to do a better job. All our kids may not be A students, they may not be B students, but as long as they're doing the very best they can each and every day when they walk out that door, unless you don't have food, you should make sure that they're going out the door with something in their stomachs. You're
Mm-hmm.
telling them, I love you, you're fearfully made, go out there and make something happen.
Mm-hmm.
That makes
Mm-hmm.
a huge difference. Wouldn't you say so, Carol?
I absolutely, Deborah, because like you said, You just said we have to make sure we know that we're number uno, we're number one. And the one thing I do know, we have to know we have to teach our kids as well as ourselves to know how important it is to love yourself. Because sometimes people are saying, well, that's just being selfish to think about yourself. We didn't say think about yourself all the time. We say care about yourself,
Right.
and know that it's okay for you to want to take care of yourself. It's okay for you to uh, 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 put yourself first and make you healthy. Because if you don't do that, you can't help anybody else. And so, like you said, to the parents, it's our responsibility to make sure to help our kids have great self-esteem. And the way we do that is by encouraging them. You believe just like I believe. God gave us all great a gift, if nothing but one. We've got gifts, we got talent, but like you said, he said to us, we're beautiful and wonderfully made in his image. And so and that doesn't mean we're perfect. That means we're made in his image, but we are always becoming better, and we want to be better, and we want to begin to start cultivate a place where you do affirmations, cultivate some affirmations in our children's lives, and begin to speak those things on them before they get out the door, and
Right.
then keep speaking it to them until they're able to articulate that for themselves, and to know deep down inside, I may not look like what I'm supposed to be, but I'm constantly working on it.
Yes. And they have so many different obstacles, as I was stating before, that
Yeah.
is against them. One of those is education. The dropout
Oh,
rate is not what we would want to be. But as I prepared for today and looked at the statistics, they
mm-hmm.
have improved. I was just so happy. For our Hispanics,
Mm-hmm.
the dropout rate for high school is down 10.12%.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes, the African Americans are down. The dropout rate is down 35.69%. Yeah.
Wow, that is huge. Yeah.
And the Caucasians went up 10.93%.
Wow.
Yeah, and
That
that
is
was as
great.
I wrote the book, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is so good. That to me says that there is something changing, and somebody's being affected, and somebody is making sure that they're taking responsibility and saying, we won't be a part of that statistic.
Right.
And so when we think about that, the numbers in all of the ethnic categories, somebody is hearing somebody say how important it is to get an education. And I love how you even say in the book, all of our kids may not go to a 4-year college, a university, 2 years, but it's okay if they choose a trade. Because I don't know about you, but when the plumber come out to my house, he may not have a degree from some major university, but he charged me. He charged me well, and I'd be like, man, I wonder if I could have been a plumber or something. But
Okay.
you know, that to me is where we're learning to embrace and encourage our kids to be who they're called to be. Don't be like it, and you don't have to compare yourself. You just need to be the best person you can be.
That's right.
And we know that everybody have different ways that they learn. And I know in school, they kind of pretty much they want to provide ways to help you understand the way you learn. But once you get to college, you better know what your learning style is, because they're not going to make those adjustments for you. You have to know what is the best way for you to learn. So I'm excited to know that there is a change in those statistics since you wrote this book, and that is huge, and that is for parents and teachers and everybody and students to even applaud themselves, because it took some work. And I like to say this all the time. Sometimes we say one person doesn't make a difference. I totally disagree. One person can make a difference. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
But Deborah, I, I know we got a lot to talk about, but I love what you said in your book that you want to challenge young men with the principles in your book, and you said that these truths and these principles. I love when we talk about that, and you say that about what's in your book, that these are principles that are true from generations, from many generations. That means that, and it's a universal truth. And I love that you said your heart and your passion, and we see that in the things that you do. I just want to shout that out to you. We see that in the things that you do every week, how you are, as coach say, you chip away day by day, trying to make sure you are touching young men in whatever way it needs to be. It's not like you are on one track, but you use many avenues to make sure that these young men and young women are being touched. And so I see that truly as your passion, and how you are so excited to make sure that you are creating these principles so that they will be principles that can be distinguished and help them have distinguished lives. So, Sister Girl, my hat is off to you, because I see that not only did you write the book, but you have continued to teach on this, coach on this, and your platform brings in so many different models of men and women that are continuously trying to pour in and help young men and young women who will just, like you say, kind of pick up the book, and parents,
Yes.
because it's something in here for everybody. And so it's a great book, and like you say, mine is pretty much been used as well. But anyway, I love too that you made this statement when you talk about the three parts of the book that their action, their credibility, and their life. And so for the action, I just want to re-emphasize that one, because you said your actions, your words, your steps, your gestures, your posture, your facial expression, your voice tone, and what you write, and the movement of your eyes all speak volume and are your actions. And you said, what your actions say to others, what your actions say to others is so crucial, Deborah. That right there is a principle, and it's so beneficial to me, that we have to know that people don't just see us with with the shifting of our eyes or words that we say, but so many things make up our actions, and so many things make up how people see us. And sometimes young people don't realize that. And I love how you put, even when you talk about what you write, and we know we've seen victim of folks writing things out there on Facebook,
Right.
out there on, what is it, out there on Instagram, and whatever the TikToks and all of that, all of those things. But people are continuously watching your words, your actions, your gesture. All of those make up so much more of our actions and how people see us. So I love that one, Deborah.
Well, thank you so much. We want to give a shout out to Agnes, Deacon Holmes, Dan, and Cynthia. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. As we move on in these nutshells, we're going to move on to chapter 2.
Okay.
Never
All
say
right.
never.
Chapter 2. And that one, oh my goodness, that one talks about never, never say never. And you said many young men not only doubt themselves, and the naysayers and the negative people also speak pain to their lives. And a person's past does not have to dictate their future. And I love this, because regardless of your background, your past mistakes, and you're going to get into that too, generational curses and other strongholds, you can still live a successful, productive life. And how we do that, you got to think bigger, and don't limit yourself to hindering thoughts, and such as like you said, those things that we never say never. And I wrote something when we talk about never say never. When we think about the word never, to me, never is forever. When you put it that way, never mean it's forever. That means that you're not, nothing can change. And so, Coach tell us, if you're not a rock, you can change, right? And but one thing in particular you talked about in there, and I just want to turn to that one because and you said make sure we start deleting the word never from our vocabulary and to look at the bigger picture. But one of the things, and you started out talking about education, and we should never say that I'm not going to ever go back to school or I'm not going to ever go further than where I am, because learning is not a waste of time, is what you said. We can never ever not we can and never ever stop learning. That's the only thing I think we ought to put never on. Never ever stop learning because everything is changing, and we have to be willing to make those changes. So when we say never, that I'm not going to never go back to school, and you have in there a quote that says education is not only a ladder of opportunity, but it is also an investment in your future. And when we think about that, you have to want to invest in you. Like you say, number uno, you have to invest in you. Does that mean we have to go to a higher university? No. But I'm a firm believer, if we pick up a book like your book, that's an opportunity to invest in you and be able to learn something. So education is, like you said, not limited to a 4-year institution and a graduate school. It is beneficial for some to attend technical schools such as welding, plumbing, drafting, electrical, etc., but to gain a substantial result. And I wrote this, and I saw this quote. It says, you can never be overdressed or overeducated. You can never be overdressed and you can never be overeducated. So some people may think you can be overdressed or something, but you can never be overeducated. No, you can, yeah, you can never be overdressed or never or overeducated. So you always want to think about, what is it that I can learn more, better? What is it that I don't know now that I need to know? So we ought to be in a place that we're forever learning. And you have to be open. Your mind has to be open to the new possibilities and be able to go after that, like you say, that golden ring, because in the end, that's taking care of you. And so you have to be you have to be assured that you're doing the best thing for you and not look at somebody else. And so Deborah, what do you think about chapter 3? Live the impossible dream. And that's where I just kind of ended with that, about that dream. You got to be able to think about the possibilities and dream about them. So let's talk about a little bit about live the impossible dream.
Well, I think this is my favorite chapter in the book.
Uh-huh.
I start out by saying, don't allow the past, negative people, and negative situations to hinder you. Your dreams can outweigh your roadblocks. You can achieve the impossible. And
Mm-hmm.
Jesus even tells us this. Jesus said, look, he looked at them and said intently, humanly speaking, it is impossible, but with God, everything is possible. So, people are born in a certain environment. That in their generations and generations, they've always done the same things. No one has ever completed high school. No one's going to college, and they think, well, I can't do it either. Uh, Even you'll go to some classes and the professor will tell you, now you're in this class, but let me tell you, nobody in my class makes above a C. Well, he's not telling the truth, because if this class was that hard, they would be looking into why no one can make above a C. But
Mm-hmm.
even if he says that, you can show them, but I can make above a C. I can study, do what I need to do, turn in my assignments, and I will show you. But people, they do so many negative things, and they try to hold you back. A lot of times, the people that you think should be moving you forward and telling you
Mhm.
go, 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 are the ones are like, I don't know why she's doing that. She need to sit down somewhere. Blah 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 blah. But you have to. And I'm gonna really go into it. But in this chapter as well is where I talk about Sugar Ray Leonard, and he
Mhm.
was going against Tommy Hearns. This is back in 1981, but he was the underdog. Didn't think anyone didn't think he could win this bout because Tommy Hearns was so fast. He was taller, and everybody just had their money on Hearns. But Ray
Mhm.
wanted it. He had trained for it. So why would you go out there if it wasn't something that you thought that was something you could achieve? But he went,
Mhm.
so he trained. He went out there. He had a great coach. And he went out there, and everybody just said, "Oh, it's going to be over in the first round." But they went first round, second round, third round, and Sugar Ray didn't win them all. But he put in his best. And as
Mhm.
they got down to the end, he was just like exhausted. He had got beat, and so probably maybe if they had said, at this point, who's the winner by round, he may not have won. But he staggered back into his corner, and his coach Dundee said, "Hey man, hey, 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 you're not doing what you need to do. You need to go out there and fight. You can do
Mhm.
this." And that's what you need a lot of times. You may not be able to do it on your own. You have God, and then there is someone assigned to assist you. Not everybody wants to see you fail. So his coach didn't want him to fail. And he told him, "Man, you got to get out there. You got the jab. You got this. You can do it." And he went out there and told Tommy Hearns up. And he was the winner. But let everybody else tell it. There was no way he could win. And that
Right.
happens in life. There's so many things people tell you can't do. Oh, your mama didn't finish school. You can't finish school.
Mhm.
Your daddy
Mhm.
didn't do this. You can't do that. Your family was always on assistance. Well, what make you think you can do different? You can
Mhm.
do anything that you put your mind to do. You can do it. And
Mhm.
that is why one of the reasons why I am passionate about this platform, because I want young men to know, hey, it doesn't matter who walked out on you when you were younger. It doesn't
Yes.
matter if your mom raised you by herself. It doesn't matter if you had to wear hand-me-down clothes. You can overcome all of that and be the
Mhm.
best that you can be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that too, Deborah, because it's so easy for young people to get into that mode where they think it has to be a generation of I can't, or they won't be able to make it. And sometimes people want to keep you in that same place, and they don't want to encourage you to do better. Now there's some who come along might, but you have to, like you say, you have to be so careful of those naysayers and those
Mhm.
people who have definitely shown you who they are. They're not for you. They're against you. And sometimes you may have to walk away from those people because they're not encouraging you. And just because I love what Coach tell us this, you could be the very first person in your family that can come, you like you say, if you've been in the project, you may be the first one that will come out of the projects and not live there, so you can start a new generations of things that will help the next generation
Right.
move to the next level or see what somebody else can do. But if you get into that mindset and think you cannot, that's where you're going to end up. So you have to always think and have that dream those impossible dreams, and don't let anybody take away your dream. So yeah, I love that. So live the impossible dream. Well, Deborah, I the next one that was really good for me was developing skills and talents. And in your book, you said everyone has skills and abilities that are strong in some areas and weak in others.
All right.
Contrary to what many people believe, the goal isn't to make those weak areas their priority. That is so huge because sometimes people will tell you, focus on those weak things, instead of
Right.
you focusing on your strength. You got, everyone has a talent, and so if you focus on your strength and build on your strength, and then yes, you can work on those weaknesses, but that, like you say, that should not be your priority. And one thing we have to do is continue, even with your strength, you have to continue to develop your strength and sharpen them even more so. But and you said skills and talents are like a double-edged sword since they are relatively different, but they are both useful. Talents are gifts that you are born with, while skills are what you learn. I love that. Talents are gifts that you're born with, while skills are something that you've learned. And you made reference to in the book to two basketball players. You talked about Kobe and how Kobe wasn't, I think you said Kobe grew up in Italy where he played basketball and soccer, but his family returned to the United States. And Kobe did not limit himself to having talent. He worked to improve his talent by working out with the 76ers while he was still in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And his hard work and dedication, as we know, paid off. And we, unfortunately, we know Kobe got killed, but he had to continue to work, and he did not just sit back and rest on what he already had. He continued to develop those skills. And because of that, Kobe would not have been able to assist, and he went back to assist and win championships and achieve so many high scoring games if he had not developed his talent by what you just said, working hard and practicing consistently. So if we think that these talents and skills are just going to develop on their own, that's true. It comes with some hard work, and you have to be continuously working on that. And then you even made reference to Michael Jordan, and another basketball player, and he was born with the talent to play ball, but however, he was not always skilled at playing, but he faithfully studied his craft until he gained the skill he needed to be the best. And we know where Michael Jordan is today. But you also said that we do have to have one thing that's important, and that is be passionate about what your skill is or your talent is. You got to be passionate about it. But you talk about all the time how important it is to be a goal setter. In order to you got to have some goals. You got to identify your talents and establish some sound goals. And I love how you even put it out there that if you're going to have a goal, you need to have a time frame that you're going to accomplish those things. And so and I think you have that acronym for having the SMART goals. Be specific, make sure they're measurable, make sure they're attainable, make sure they're realistic and time based. So that is so important in developing our skills and our talent. But one last thing too, I love the story about Michael Orr that you put in the book, because you titled that part "Learn from Others." And we know how important it is to learn from other people. And we don't discount people because they may not look like they can help us, or we don't like how they talk, or we don't like, some of the kids will say, we don't like how they approach me. But we have to make sure that we don't discount people who've been assigned to help you, because as we know in the story of Michael Orr, and we know the story about him becoming one of the great Baltimore Ravens football player, but somebody helped him.
That's
And
right.
it's so important that we learn and be okay reaching out for help. When we talk about skills and talents and strength, you have to be okay even being transparent about where you're weak, so that somebody will be willing to help you. So there is so much in this book that
Yeah.
I'm just not really sure, but you got so many, so many things that will help us. And then at the end of that chapter, you talked about having those learning is lifelong. And that is, if we don't walk away with them knowing anything other than that, learning is lifelong.
That's
Don't
right.
be afraid to let somebody help you. Don't be afraid to dream the impossible dream. Don't be afraid to remember that never seems like it is forever. So be careful what you put in never, because you told us to delete never from our vocabulary, because we want to make sure that we are, moving in a place where we want our life to be one that is going to be some that will things that will help us overcome some of those obstacles, because the obstacles are going to come, right?
Yes,
We're going to have some obstacles. We can't get past that. So,
yes,
all
and
right.
you know, but it's just amazing, like with Michael Orr, everybody
Mhm,
wanted to just count him out because it appeared that he couldn't understand. Well, he
mhm,
couldn't write, but he could listen and learn just like everybody
mhm,
else. He just needed somebody to work with him. And so,
mhm.
we have to take time with people because, like you said earlier, everybody does not learn the same way.
No. Mm-mm, mm-mm.
And thank you, Cynthia, for your nuggets. She says, have a goal, make a time frame. That's so very
Absolutely.
important. And she
Mhm.
also said, uh, take control
Take
of
control.
your life.
Mhm.
Don't let your life take control of you. And that
That
is
is
so
so
important.
good. Cannot let life take control of you. So yeah. But even with Michael Orr, like you said, he had a deficit, but somebody had to help him see that deficit did not have to determine what he could do. And a huge story. I didn't want to get too deep into that, but just a great story, because if I'm not mistaken, he couldn't read too much either, could he? Or couldn't
Right.
read?
No.
He
Mm-mm.
couldn't read or write, but he had to. But somebody lit the fire, that the people that took him lit that fire under him and began to help him. But in the end, I love that, because in the end, he had to go in there and take those tests for himself. So
Yes.
he had to study. He had to put away his pride or whatever, his shame, his guilt or whatever. He's a big person, and people look at your size and say, "Oh, you ought to be able to do this." But that's, you, like Cynthia said, you can't allow other people or either life itself to dictate to who you are and who you can become.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was an amazing story.
Oh, it is. I really always enjoy, like we say, reflecting on him and his story, because that's kind of one from rags to riches, right?
Right.
His story was
Yes.
like that,
And he
and to
had,
be a
I talked about all the barriers that young men have against them. He had a bunch of them.
he
His
had a lot.
education, because he got
Mhm,
moved from foster home to foster home. He came
mhm,
from a
mhm.
single parent home. He was homeless. He had a
Yeah,
learning disability. He had, he just had it all. But he
he did.
overcame it. That's the
Hmm.
big thing. He overcame it. So
Yeah.
if Michael can do it, you out there can
Yeah.
do it too.
Mhm. And you know what? It appeared probably to him on those sleepless, homeless nights that there was no hope.
Mm.
But he would just show up, and I mean, like you say, just watching the movie itself. But he had many that wait a minute, the stack of odd things against him probably looked like they were unlevel, they were unequal, but he persevered and then made sure that when he got the opportunity for help, he took advantage of that. So what a great story, what a great lesson for any
Yes.
of us. That because, like I said, life is going to give us obstacles, but it's how we handle those obstacles that will make us become overcomers. Mhm.
Exactly. Well, this next section of the book that we're going into is about your credibility. And this is another one that I love, 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 because guess what? It takes 1 second to ruin a good reputation, while it takes blood, sweat, tears, and years to build or rebuild one.
Yeah.
Sometimes all you have, especially our young people, is your name. You don't have
Yeah.
credit, you don't have a car, you don't have a home, but you have your name. Why go out there and do something that's going to ruin your reputation? I was looking at, was glancing at the news as I was waiting to get started here tonight, and I don't know the young man's name. I should, but the football player that's been in the news, and they, had sexual allegations against him, and now they're saying, well, he didn't do it, and he appreciated the NFL sticking up behind him. I don't know whether he did it or not. However, I do know he shouldn't have put himself in that predicament because one, you got so many little young boys looking up to you as a
Yes.
role model.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they see you doing things, what do they think? Oh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
when I get up and I can get in the NFL, I can go do this and that and get in trouble and it's going to be okay. Well, it's not. And you don't have
No.
to live
Mm-mm.
like that. Care about who you are, what your name is, and it just seems like the more and the further we get, the worse people care about who they are and what they do. It's not
Mm-hmm.
cute because you have a lot of money that you go get a baby in this state and a baby in that state, and you sleep with this one and you sleep with that one, and you get pay for this abortion over here and you get diseases over there. That's not cute at all. It's not cute. you know,
It is not.
it's
It is
not.
not. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
God has given you a talent.
Right.
It's giving you the opportunity, and you've worked on that talent. You become most of y'all millionaires, and you just want to waste it. Just think
Yeah.
about that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
You want to waste
Mm-hmm.
it. Makes no sense. But
Right.
anyway, let me get
No,
back to my stuff.
but that's just like you were saying. You have an opportunity to be, uh, you whether you want to be a role model or not. But when you get those kind of statuses like that, you are a role model, and you ought to want to set some examples for those. Even if you don't know their name, somebody is watching you, and you've had an opportunity to set that. And like you said, and I think we're going to talk about that next, but that reckless, loose living, like you were saying, having babies over here, states over there, just ruining not just your life, but think about it. If you got several babies and you in different states, you can't be a daddy to them, a good daddy to them in those different places, because you can't be but in one place at one time. Think about the women, that that you just kind of played around with, and now their hearts are broken. So it's so much more to it. When that domino starts falling, you're not just fall. It's just not you that's affected. I think that's what I'm saying. It's not just you,
All
but
right.
so many other people are being affected because of your selfishness. Or and you think money can get you out of some things, but we've seen some people fall and had money, and that wasn't always true. And so that goes back, Deborah, to what you always talk about too, about your character, how important your character is. And so you have to know that you're building your character, and that's so key. Your character take you places that money can't buy,
That's
and you
right.
have to be willing to understand that it is your character that is so important here. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So, there are 7 reputation breakers that it's more, but I'm going to give you these 7. Lying.
Okay.
Number 1 is lying. If you start telling lies, then people can't trust you. And it's bad when somebody cannot trust you. 2, laziness.
Mm-hmm.
And I got this from my mom. I cannot stand a lazy man. You want to lay around on your mom's sofa. You don't want to work. Oh, I can't get a job. I don't have any way to get there. Oh, I went, but I didn't have a resume. Always an excuse, but just lazy for no reason. Number 3, you don't listen. You have to listen. But people that have experienced things and they're trying to share with you to help you grow, you need to listen. Be man enough to listen. Stealing. Don't do that. Don't steal. Even if someone entices you to do something, it's not wrong, you don't do it. Like we have, I won't call his name, but most of you probably know, we had a football player, and someone I know was giving him these items, because he was a football player at college. They're giving him the items, and he had been walking out the store with it all the time. No big deal, because somebody from the store gave it to him. But then one day, he got stopped. Oh, but he's stealing. So that was a big to do. They want to put him out of school and all of this stuff. But yeah, he was wrong too, because he knew that friend or that person that liked him because he was a great football player, that was not his store, that was not his money, his losses. So you should have said thank you, but no thank you. If I can't buy it, then it's okay. So we have to make sure that we do things, and remember, someone is always watching you. I don't care who you are. It's not everybody is way up here that people are watching. People watch the people down here. You don't know who admires you or who sees some quality in you, but someone is always watching you. Number 5, you have no urgency about you. You procrastinate for everything. Everything is procrastination. You're always late. You always don't do anything. If somebody come pick you up, I'm going to take you for a job interview. Oh, see what had happened was my alarm clock didn't go off. So I didn't get my clothes ironed. And I don't want to hold you up. Just go ahead. You ain't want to go. And here's a good one. Hot-tempered.
Ooh.
Tempered. Now that will get you in trouble, because those are what? From your actions. That's a good one.
That's real good.
And say something out your mouth or do something that'll get you in a whole lot of trouble. But those are reputation breakers and being unreliable. And I'm going to go kind of fast because I know we had a lot, but this stuff is good. And I'm going to read your statement in a second, Cynthia. Okay, instead of what I just said, then what do you need to do to build your reputation? Because it takes longer to build a reputation than it does to break one. Remember I said it just takes a second to break one. Hey, you sneezed the wrong way and somebody say, hey, he didn't sneeze the right way. He sneezed on that lady. He shouldn't have did that. You're in trouble. You gone. So you need to be truthful. You need to be a go-getter. You need to listen to authoritative figures that has experience. You don't have to learn everything the hard way. You will find that honesty is the best policy. Efficient time management and organization will help you. Listen without speaking or reacting, and your word should be your bond.
Oh my God. Yes.
Let's see what Linda says. Yep. Linda says you can't be afraid of failing or disappointing others, because then you won't really give your all. Go forth 100% and do it with a spirit of knowing someone is watching you. Be a role model. Amen.
Yes.
I love it.
Amen. Absolutely. Yes. You are so right. Well, yeah, Deborah. I know. This is one of the chapters that I really, when we do this one, I mean, when I say you crack me up, and you may have to jump in on this one, but you talk about the chapter 6, how to avoid crazy mistakes. So it says sometimes we do things that make people wonder, what in the world were they thinking? And then here are some crazy mistakes that young people make and how to avoid them. I'm gonna hit just a few of them, but I want to get to the one that you always just make me laugh so hard on, because you're so real with it. It says not being yourself, and we kind of talked about that a little bit. You got to be the best you can be. You have to know you're the apple of God's eye. He made you, and so you have to be okay being you. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to improve you, but you got to be okay being you. And then, and I love what you say. Don't function to fit in. You just need to know that you got to be okay with being you. You don't have to just function to fit in. You can be okay. I think Coach tells us this: if you're not invited to the table, then create a table for yourself so that you can know. That's what I'm saying. So you will know who you are and what you bring to the table. Number 2, not taking care of our minds and bodies. That is so key, because I think, what is that old, we used to have that commercial say, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. We don't want to waste our mind. And the only way we don't waste our mind is to keep relevant, keep learning, keep growing, keep listening to other people who's giving you good advice, So you have to know, but your body, you have to want to take care of your body, because I believe this: when this body's gone, you can't worry about nothing else, because there's nothing else you can do. So you have to know that you have to be able to start young, picking good healthy choices. I know some. I got a granddaughter don't like no veggies, but we've she's learned to drink her vegetable with some fruit, and so. But you know, vegetable eating and eating right, and not going through McDonald's every time you get an opportunity, because you know what do they say, supersize, is that what they do? You want to supersize it. That's
Yeah.
what it's doing for us, supersizing us.
Superstars.
And so we want to make sure that we are taking care of our body, because the Bible says this: our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit. That's where God resides, inside of us. And I don't know about you, but we ought to want to represent him well with our bodies. And it doesn't mean that everybody got, let me say this, it doesn't mean we all going to be the same size, the same shape, but we want to be healthy in our bodies and in our minds. And so, and then you had number 3, not heeding advice of elders. And you talked a little bit about that, you know, when you don't want to listen to nobody can't tell you nothing. And so when you are like that, you know, people get to the place they will dismiss you if you don't want to be told anything.
That's
And
right.
my grandmama used to say, there's nothing like a bought lesson, because you bought lesson got to be better than a taught one any day, because you're gonna pay for that. And like you always say, you know, it takes a few minutes to, it takes a long time to build a reputation, but it can be gone in 1 second. So you have to be able to listen to the advice, because there are people who've gone places that you've never gone, seen things that you've never seen, and you have to be able and willing and okay to listen to the advice. I'm gonna hear, think what this is, the one, Deborah. You know where I was going, right? I love this because this is so true. Think with anything other than your brain. And so, you know, like you said, you're at the age where it's perfectly fine to have fun, spending quality time with your friends or significant others. But there are some dangerous lines between having fun and recklessness, which can lead to issues now, the future, and for the rest of your life. And so you talked about this young man, the consequences of him, had all this great, you know, had his future before him, scholarship, one had a goal, had a plan. He's going to be a doctor. And one night, one wrong night,
Like just one night.
just one night, and he wakes up and he is going to be a daddy. And that changed his life. And not only can you wake up and be a daddy, but you, if you're not thinking with the right head, you can wake up with some other issues going on too. But
Right.
I love that, Deborah, because you talk about, we have to, as parents, we got to be able to have those strong, upfront, face-to-face conversations with our young men. So single moms, we have to step up and tell them how to rubber meet the road and the possibilities of things that can happen. One night can create something that they didn't plan for. So and those are those hard conversations. And one last thing you said in there, young men know that when she say no, you need to take it as a no. And you need to, hey, it's a no and you need to go.
That's right.
You need to go, because I think you talk about this person too, that, you know, making a mistake and didn't listen, and of course get in trouble. And we've seen other people, not just young men, to get in trouble, because when we look at their, you know, we've had major actors in the news because they did not accept the fact that no means no, and they didn't accept the fact that their money didn't mean anything, because you think that that's going to put you above the law. But and then you think you've gotten away, and you look up and you 15 years down the road, and now you're being charged for something that you could have used this brain, you know, more effectively. So
That's
anyway,
right.
I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I when you talk about that one, I say, young man, she's talking and telling you the absolute truth, and that's what I'm saying. And we got to be able to have We got to be able to have those kinds of conversations with our young men, because their life can be ruined because they didn't think with the right head. So anyway, all right, Deborah, we have
That's
so
right.
much there.
Yes. So I am going on to chapter 7. Life is a series of decisions. You know, it
Mm-hmm.
comes all back to actions, but it's a series of decisions. If I had not done this, or if I had done that, something would have been totally different. It impacts your life from that moment forward. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to be intentional with what we do in our lives. And there are several people, I won't go through all, I won't tell you about all of them, but I will
Mm-hmm.
mention all of them. The people that made some serious decisions in their lives that changed the course of history: Martin Luther King Jr.,
Mm-hmm.
Steve Jobs, Shahid Khan. If you don't know who is that? That he is the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh.
Barack Obama and Emmett Perry Jr., better known as Tyler Perry.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to talk about Martin Luther King. I know a lot of us know him and what he did or whatever, but I think it is really amazing when you go back and look at all the bullet points. Now, Martin Luther King Jr., of course, he was the son of a pastor, but he enrolled in college at age 15.
Chivalry.
Then he went to seminary.
Mm.
He received a fellowship for graduate studies. He married in 1953. He had 4 children. He was ordained as a minister in 1934. He earned his PhD in 1955, and all of this was by age 25.
Wow.
That was amazing, especially back then. So you can tell that he had some goals. He was working hard towards those goals, and he got them done. Now, with all those things that I just stated, and you'll say, well, what does that have to do with decisions? Now, you listen at all of that. He could have done lots of different things. He could have been a psychologist. He could have been a full-time pastor. He could have been an educator. Could have been a professor. There are a lot of things he could have done. But he
Mm-hmm.
thought it not robbery to go into politics, to assist people in being able to live a better life and to show them that you did not have to use, what do you call it, violence to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you just imagine his decisions and how they have impacted the world, because he could have
Mm.
did so many different things. And I think it's just amazing. And then I want to touch on Shahid Khan, because now he, and all these are in my book, but Shahid was he is a native Palestinian. He came to America to attend college in Chicago, I believe. And when he arrived in America, this man had holes in his shoes. It was
Wow.
dead winter. It was freezing cold. He didn't have anywhere to live because he was going to live in the dorm, but the school wasn't open yet. So he didn't have anywhere to live. So somebody told him about the Y, to go check out the Y. And by the time he got there, his shoes were soaking wet. He was freezing cold, but he was able to stay there for $2 a night. And so that's what he did.
Mm-hmm.
But while Shad Khan was in school, and this is why I say it's so important to listen.
Mm-hmm.
He studied, but he also did other things. You know, in school, you know, they have clubs and whatever. So he got into a fraternity. So you can imagine the other guys in the fraternity, they were probably rich, well-to-do, whatever. But you know what Shad did? He sat back and he listened. And they talked
Wow.
money and investing money, how you do it, what the rewards were, or whatever. He listened to all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Then he got a job at Flex in Gate. It was a company that manufactured car bumpers, fenders. But him and a friend of his, they noticed that, you look at our fenders and you look at the fenders of other companies, these are the very, very best. So he came over to America. He's still poor, but he worked hard.
Mhm.
He moved up in that company at Flex and Gate. He moved into management. He hired his friend, and then he decided, hey, he was saving and investing, and then he went into the fender business. He was able to go back. He started a company called Bumper Works, but he was
Mm.
able to go back and purchase Flex and Gate.
Wow.
Yep.
Hmm.
And he ended up in Jacksonville because of the relationship he had with putting the fenders on different cars. As they, we get in Florida, in Jacksonville, a lot of the automobiles come to Jacksonville and we put fenders on them or whatever. So that's why he was in Jacksonville, and he ended up purchasing the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, this
Wow.
man that was so poor, he not only owns the Jacksonville Jaguars, he has other sports teams. He's purchased a lot of properties and whatever,
Mhm.
and he's worth 8.5. Can you say $1 billion?
Wow.
To me, that's really rags to riches.
Rags to
And
riches right there.
it was decisions that he made, because he could have just came and went to school and worked in corporate America, but he came,
Hmm.
he listened, and he worked hard. And so that's what you got to do. And you can overcome this. And my thing here is you can overcome whatever it is.
Hmm.
He can
Hmm.
overcame those holy shoes. He probably got a million pairs of shoes now. But it
Yes,
is
indeed.
amazing.
Hmm.
And I'm not going to go into my boy, because I'll be with him all night. And that's Tyler Perry, because I don't care what anybody says. You listen to those movies, there is always a huge lesson in those
It
movies
is.
he has.
Hmm.
But we all know his story, so I'm gonna leave it at that. We're gonna move it on. We're gonna move it on into your life. Into your life.
Into your life. All right.
Well, I'm
Let's go.
sorry. No, we're not. We're gonna go to dating, and then we're gonna go to
Oh,
your life. I'm
okay. All
sorry.
right. I was like, okay. Well, listen, we've hit a little bit about that dating, but like you said, dating is an exciting time. But I love how you make us look at, or make them look at, how dating is not looking the same as it used to look. And we have to be okay. And your actions on dating can be positive or negatively impact your life. And the rules of dating have changed, and we have to be okay with those changes. And so, just a few of the things you talked about there: meet in a mutually agreed place on the first date. That's smart and safety. And so you want to make sure that, especially now, because like you talk about how dating has changed. So now it's online dating, blind dates, and all those kind of things. So to be safe and to protect you and your reputation, meet at a a mutual location, so that you can make sure that you are taking care of her and yourself. uh some things will never go out of being a part of a principle or something that we should do. Walk to the door when picking up your date, and whatever you do, don't honk the horn to call your date, or call for her to come outside. Be respectful. Go up and knock on that door. Present yourself. And you talk about that next. Present yourself to her parents, you know, and so that speaks volume about who you are. It's okay if you open the door for her, and if she choose not to want you to do that, you can at least offer that the first time. But you go and wait for her on the other side. If she don't want you, don't just wait. And I love this one there, because you say pay for the date. But we know, like you said, we're in a different time. The date might want to pay for our own food, but whatever you do, don't let her pay for your food.
Nope. Don't do
Don't
it.
let her pay for your. Don't do it. Even if she has the money, you should be, like you say, you should be man up and pay for your food, and don't look for, and say thank you very much, but I was planning to pay for yours. Yeah. And move slowly. That's important. Go, get to know her. We really need to get to know each other. Everything seems like we on microwave kind of time now. We want to hurry up and rush through things. But like you say, get to know her. And I'm sure you remember the story, like you talked about the tortoise and the hare. And the moral of the story is slow and steady is what wins the race. So be slow and steady. Don't be so quick to hurry up and learn the real person. Because sometimes, you let them learn the real person too, because sometimes we don't really show who we really are until we've had some time to spend with each other. You said protect yourself regardless of the level of commitment, length of the relationship. You need to protect yourself. Remember, your actions impact your credibility, and don't let your emotions and your adrenaline guide your actions. So, like you put in here about a football player, Pop Warner, and got better and better, and he advanced to high school and had these scholarships and all the opportunities. And then, of course, you said, I think you called him Matthew, and he ended up disappointed his parents because Matthew called home with news that he was going to be a father. And I think we talked about that another time, or a different person. But um, that changed his whole life. When you got all these things and you move too fast, and you don't, hey, you might not even like the girl, and now you are stuck with a baby, and that keeps you in a relationship with her for the rest of their life. So you have to take care of yourself. And once again, we come back to that no means no. And you need to accept that no, and don't get yourself in trouble. So those are ways that we talk about protecting yourself. Like I said, great dating principles for young men. If they have not thought about that, that is something that they have to. And you did say this: chivalry is not dead. Treat ladies like ladies. Treat
Yes.
ladies like ladies. And sometimes, even when young ladies may not know how to be treated like a lady, that's an opportunity for you to teach them how they should expect people or young men to treat them. So I love that chapter. So I guess now, Deborah, we are going to what? Your life. You
Yes.
have this quote, and we're just going to go into that. Your life really matters. Every aspect of what you do, your actions, and how you exemplify your credibility is a stepping stone in your life. As you work to build your best life, each component must be nurtured, worked on, and placed meticulously during your life. Work to be the best you. Work to be the best you. And so, uh, as we look at what you talked about here, you said, I love this. Who are you? You're not an imitation or a copy of someone else. I love, just be the real you. With the best you, please stand up. And you have to, in order for you to know the real you, you got to be able to study who you are. Your For your life, health is so important. We talked about that. You can't be best in poor health, and you have one body and one mind, and you have to take care of that. That's real life. Foster your relationship. There are many types of relationships, but I love the quote that you said. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, the only way to have a friend is you have to be one yourself. And the
Yes.
Bible tells us we have to present ourselves friendly as well. So you have to know it's important for you to foster relationship, family, friends, associate, professional, are all people that we have to foster relationship with. So there's a saying that says blood is thicker than water, but sometimes non-blood relationship can be just as close and meaningful as blood relationship. So take time and foster relationship, cultivate them, because in I think you said in Proverbs 18:24, it says there are friends who destroy each other, but a real friend sticks closer than a brother. And that's what the scriptures say. Finances. I don't know about you, but the worst place you can be in is to get out of school and have tons of debt. So you have to learn how to take care of your finances. Seek good advice. Learn to pay your bills on time. Learn to put 10% of your income, in for an emergency fund. Don't think every time you get a raise or something, you're supposed to go out and spend that on something, but learn to be a saver. because that's so important. And save for a rainy day, because we know the rainy day is going to happen. And then you talked about 5, your career. There are many phases of your career: how you act, how you perform, how you communicate, how you speak, to what type of person you are. All of those speak volume to you in your career. And so you have to have good work ethics. Got to go to work and work hard. Can't go to work and be on your cell phone texting all day long, looking at Facebook and all those instant messages. You have to go there and give those people. They're paying you for a service, and you have to go there. So you have different scenarios of employees, but you just have to make sure that you are. That's part of building your life. Being that credibility, that being responsible, all those things. So you want to have good work ethics. You want to be a good steward of your finances. You want to take care of your body. You want to take care of your mind, and you want to make sure that you have great relationships. All right.
Awesome. I'll read Cynthia's, and then I'll be getting out of here. Say all decisions have consequences. Bad decisions equal bad consequences. But remember that good decisions equal good consequences. Amen.
Yes.
Yep. You
Amen.
got to do it. It's
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Yep. That
All
is so
right.
good,
So,
Miss Cynthia.
yes. So, in conclusion, working to build your best life means that you have to silence all that negative noise around you. That's people, situations, whatever. Because as Miss Carol will tell you, words have power. And you cannot
Absolutely.
let those put you down, put you in a bad place. Remember, you're number one. You got to look out for yourself and do what you need to do. And as I close out, I'm just going to mention a couple things. You have to try new things. We talked about never say never, but you have to try new things, new foods. I never get on an airplane. I never get on a ship. But
All
throwing
right,
shade,
Miss Deborah.
throwing shade. Oh, if Muhammad Ali had not boarded a plane, though he was scared to death, he would not have won those medals that he won at the Olympics. And then he would not have begun to get more comfortable riding a plane because I actually had, avio, what is it? Whatever. He was scared of flying. Very
Oh,
scared of
that
flying.
height thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but he got over that. You just have to think about that. If he had not flown, got those medals, would he have ever become the greatest? So we don't know. So you have to try new things as you work towards your dreams. Every day will not be smooth sailing. That's not promised to anyone. You're going to have roadblocks. What do I say every day when I sign off? You will have roadblocks, rough terrain, and detours. But you cannot let those roadblocks keep you from achieving your goals. You have to keep the faith and remember your dreams will far outweigh your roadblocks. You have to focus and work hard. You have to make sure there is someone assigned to you to assist you. Well, we know everyone has someone assigned to you, but who is that person? If you have a certain demeanor, no one's going to approach you. If you're always looking mad, or you look at somebody walk up to you, you go snap their head off, chances are they're not coming to ask you, do you need any help? So you have to look pleasant. If you see someone, you see your neighbor, and he's always outside cutting boards and going back in the house, and you just watching him, and you want to be a carpenter, you may go over and say, I was just watching you. Are you a carpenter? Yes, my dad taught me. Well, I sure would love to learn more about that. Oh, come over anytime. Every weekend I'm building something. Right now I'm building some new cabinets for the house. Someone is assigned to assist you. Allow them to do that. It will not only help you, it will help them as well, because God does not want us to just sit on our gifts. He wants us to use them for the betterment of other people. I talked about Sugar Ray Leonard. He got up and he had a dream and he fought, he worked hard, and he had that person in his corner. Somebody had his back and he reached his dreams. You have to develop your talents and skills. You don't just sit. Well, I don't like to read. You don't have an excuse now. They got audio books. Any book you want to read, they got the audio books. You just listen. But you need
Mhm.
to read. There is so much information that you can get that will help you, assist you by reading. So listening is reading. You need to develop yourself. You know, people say, I never have an opportunity. I can't get a promotion at work. What are you doing to ensure that you can get it? Are you developing your skills? Are you taking different classes? Are you just sitting at your desk every day doing what's assigned? This is my job responsibilities. Because if you look down further, I guarantee you it says, and anything else is assigned by management. That means that you don't have to sit there and just do ABC. You can go
Right.
outside the box. That's going to help you. Don't try to use the purpose that God has given someone else. That's why a lot of us mess up. Miss Carol talks about the power of words.
Mhm.
That sounds good.
Mhm.
I'm gonna start
Mhm.
talking about that. And she tell me about it, and I'm supposed to be her friend. Before she can get her website up, I stuck some stuff out there. The power of words. That is not my purpose. Why would I do that? But we do it every day, right? Don't do that.
Right.
Take some time and pray and meditate and find out what your purpose is and go after your purpose. Because guess
Right.
what? If it's your purpose, God is going to give you the skills and talents that you
Mhm.
need to see it through, and you can have so much fun doing it. I mean, like right
Mhm.
now, when I got on here, I was like, oh my goodness, I got a cold, it's beating me down. But I'm talking about build your best life, helping young men. I'm good. you know, I'm good. So you have to do those things. We talked
Mhm.
about Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Yes, other people had the same talents that God gave them, same some of the same skills, but they took theirs and they worked hard.
Yeah.
Michael, they said after the games, Michael didn't go to the shower and leave. Michael stayed in the gym and practiced some more.
Mhm. Mhm.
Kobe could have been hanging out with his high school friends. What he was playing for he was working out with the LA Lakers. You gotta
Mhm.
do some things. If you want something different, you gotta do something different. You gotta put in the work. Just
Mhm.
believe me, I don't know who you've been listening to, but things don't just drop down in your lap. You gotta
They
work.
do not. Mhm.
You have to prepare yourself to stay relevant. And remember, don't let anyone talk you out of your reputation. People say,
Mm-mm.
hey man, let's go do this. Hey man, I just want you to ride with me and my friend. Where you going? Oh, we just ride. Well, no, I don't want to just ride. Oh man, I got some new weed. This right here good. You wanna try some? No. Man, what you I don't want to try any. Your no needs to mean no. I don't want to.
Mhm.
Oh, you see your
Mhm.
friend got a gun in the car. You know what? I remembered I got something to do. When you get up to the light, you let me out. Where you going? When you get up to the light, let me out. Because you don't know where they're going with that gun. You're going to get yourself in trouble for no reason.
Mhm.
You gotta have some common sense sometimes. Now,
Yeah.
all of
Right.
that. That's what it is. It's common sense. Listen to those authoritative figures and always strive to be the best that you can be in whatever it is that you go after. And that will help you to build your best life.
Absolutely.
So
Mm.
I know we
Mhm.
probably went over a little bit tonight, but I think it was worth it. Some great
Absolutely.
information. So, Miss Carol, please tell everybody how they can reach you.
Okay, and Miss Deborah, one thing you had in the book, and I think it's worth reading on when you talked about credibility and not protecting your credibility, and you had this, I think you said John Maxwell said, number one, be initiative. You have to get up to go up.
Mhm.
Number two, sacrifice. You have to give up to go up. And then number three, maturity. You have to grow up to go up. And that was John Maxwell. And so we can't straddle the fence. You can lead, you say can lead to issues at any point in your life, but some fumbling that can damage your credibility, and you went on into the lying and things like that. But like you said, so much power in our words that you say to yourself, words that other people say to you, And so we have to be very, very intentional about the words. I like to say, I love when we do the affirmations, and you have to begin to say those things. And then not only those words that you're saying, even your goals that you want to put them out there and get up and say to yourself, this is what I'm striving for. Even your work ethics and even those things that we want to change in our lives, we have to begin to speak those things. I don't want to go to work every day and just do A, B, and C and D and not try to provide an opportunity for me to move forward. I what do you say? I just can't learn nothing. I just can't read nothing else. It's so many things that we put the word can't on, and can't is debilitating. And so you don't want to do that. So, and you were talking about your purpose. And yes, we were both dragging before we got on here today. But when you're talking about what you love and you're in your purpose and you're in your zone, it's so easy. But I want to just say this. One of the things I know that is important, that we have to learn how to celebrate one another. And
Yeah.
so I'm celebrating you, my sister, because I know where your passion is. And like you say, we don't have to get in each other's lane, but we can be effective and be friendly and have friends and fellow, relationships. And those are important because it's those words that we say that can develop those kinds of relationships. So where you can find me, I love being here on the second Thursday with Miss Deborah with the coffee chat. I love when we get together and talk about her book and so many other relevant topics that is continuing to pour into young men. On the every third quarter, I'm back with Miss Deborah, with Miss Anita and Anastasia, when we are going to be talking, when we're, what is it, Chucks and Pearls, Earls and Pearls. And so we will be having that. And I look forward to those conversations that we have. Every third Monday night, you can find me on Coach Ricardo Miller, Monday Night Conversation. And then I am a teacher and a speaker, and I love teaching and speaking about God. And I am a teacher for the Pathway of Life Church in Dallas, Texas. And so you can periodically find me on those platforms. And then I do have a Facebook page, The Power of Words with Carol Crockett. And you can find me on there, where I am excited and always wanting to give us little nuggets about how important it is that what we speak today, what we've spoken of our mouth, we can see that thing manifest in the future. And if we want something good to come up out of our lives, begin to speak those words to yourself. Speak. The Bible says we have to encourage ourselves, right, in the Lord. So we begin to speak the words that God say who we are, and make our words align with what God say, who God say we are. So that's my spiel, Miss Deborah. Thank you for letting me share.
Oh, anytime, sis. Anytime. Thank you so much for taking your time, because I know you are a busy lady. And so I appreciate you so much. And thank everyone for tuning in, because you could have been anywhere else. Please visit my website, www.buildyourbestlife.org. It's www.buildyourbestlife.org. And I think everybody on here has your copy of the book, but Christmas is coming up, and you can tell other people about the book, and they can get it from my website, get their autographed copy. And if they like Kindle version, they can get that on Amazon.com. They can read our blog that comes out each Monday, as well. Find out about my speaking, webinar speaking, coaching, and consultation. So thank you so much for tuning in today. Now, y'all can't miss Saturday. If you got to look at it later on, you can't miss Saturday. Now, Saturdays, second Saturdays, that's conversation with the guys. They
All
are
right.
the heartbeat of chats.
They are on fire, huh?
They are on fire. And this Saturday, we're going to have Coach Ricardo Miller, Dr. Coach Kevin Wilburn, Elder Joseph Levette, and Deacon Dan Smith Jr. They're going to be on there, and they're going to be talking about sex education, real men talk. And so you need to spread the word. Single parents, single mothers, they want to get their sons on here. Anybody, parents, whatever, because when I was a single mom, I had them real conversations with my son. I wasn't biting my tongue. We was down in it. We had a crucial conversation. So you got to do what you got to do.
Gotta do what you gotta do. Absolutely.
That's right. So please join us Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good night. Thank you so much. And I love you, sis.
I love you more, and I can't wait till our third Saturday.
Yes. As you travel on your road to being a better you, there will be distractions, rough terrain, and detours. Don't let any of those negative aspects of your journey stop you. Though they may slow you down, keep going to be a better you so that you can build your best life. And remember, building your best life is our business. That's not a slogan, it's our commitment. I love you. Be blessed. Stay safe. See you Saturday.